NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and Bill Callahan fan club president, Jake Bakoven.
I love Billy C.
Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Strick and Bob. Hold up.
Happy Monday. Actually, it's not Monday. Happy Tuesday to everybody out there on on the block out there. This is 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Jake Bakoven. He is Eric Strickland. That was the perfect setup for you. Eric Strickland is the Husker Hall of Famer, longtime NBA vet. How is your Tuesday going so far, Strick?
Pretty good. Really hot. A lot going on. Packing and doing all kinds of stuff in the meantime, in between time. So it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, we announced not too long ago, Strick is packing because he's getting ready to move back to Nebraska. So we're excited about that. He's going to, be in here in studio more days than not, and we can't wait for that. And I've already seen that, you're taking pictures with some local hoopers. So it's kind of cool to maybe get back in the hoop scene around Lincoln and Omaha because there's more ballers than it seems like there has been in the past.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some ballers there, some interest there from some of the local colleges as well. So yeah, it'll be fun to get a chance to watch and to be up close and personal to not only the Nebraska program, the Creighton program, some of the JUCO programs and NAIA programs and locally, and to be able to just talk and touch some of the local talent again. It's going to be quite fun to be able to have real in-depth conversations and to speak life into some of them if they ask it. And it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting back. I'm not going to say I'm looking forward to the cold, but definitely get a chance to see more Husker games and participate in some of the high school games that are going to be going on as well, and state tournaments, so forth and so on. So there's going to be some good things that I'm be able to do that I wasn't able to do here in Florida.
And we'll see, too, if Nebraska basketball can get it going. Unfortunately, today, another hit against him. Four-star big man Gus Yalden, who's better known as Gus Bus, committed to Wisconsin. He's a top 100 kid, according to 24/7 and plenty of recruiting sites out there. So he was one that Nebraska was really going after. Rutgers, College of Charleston, actually. Wisconsin and Nebraska were kind of his final four there, but he grew up a Nebraska fan, so maybe they were kind of going up against it all along. And Wisconsin's got quite a program, so anytime you lose that one, it's somewhat understandable. But obviously with losing the battle with Chucky, I don't know if it was a battle because I don't know how bad they went after Chucky Hepburn, but obviously he had a great start to his Wisconsin career. So you're going to see some familiar faces and probably wonder what could have been, I suppose, if you're watching Wisconsin basketball, if you're Nebraska. It feels like Nebraska basketball is not going to get the, kind of the big time name to build around. We've kind of talked about that so far. Do you see this as another big hit, or maybe somewhat expected when you're battling with schools like that have quite a bit more to sell, I suppose, at this point?
Well, I'm not going to overly say that this is a lost situation, being that Gus Yalden, he's a Wisconsin native. Although he went to North Carolina to play high school ball, that can win out when you have a solid program and you're from that area. You're a native of the area, i.e., similar to what happened with me. You tend to look more favorably to that situation, especially being that you're unique in the fact that they're offering you a scholarship as a 2023 kid, which they normally don't do. They normally are a very patient university that waits and kind of probes and really digs and really scouts and before they make an offer to make sure that they're getting the kind of player that's similar to what we talk about on the block with what we would hope to establish. When you establish a culture, when you establish a style of play that you want to play, you've got to not only get the players to fit that mold, but you also got to get the character of those guys. And they felt that his character fit with them and their program, and they offered him early, which is something that they don't normally do. Now, his skill set, he's very Jokic type. He's a good passer. He's very methodical. He's got solid IQ. He's crafty. He's not a very big jumper. That's not something that he does well. He has the ability to stretch the floor. He does do that. He's a space guy. He takes up space. And so, that's a unique set, but he's still young. I mean, so he's still got to grow into his body. He's probably a little heavier than he will be when he makes his way to campus. He'll probably need to lose some of that extra weight that he's carrying. But I think for the most part, it's a good find for them. He plays the style of play, very methodical, that you normally see out of a Wisconsin University program. And he's a good fit for them.
Yeah, and then obviously it is kind of it's a difficult when you talk about the 2023 class. Kind of similar to football, and it's hats off when these guys can start to put a class together. But it is what it is. Both coaches in football and basketball had to take the kind of the punch in the chin and take a year, take the contract down. And so it's pretty much a prove it year, and everybody kind of knows what's kind of going on there. So for somebody to commit to Nebraska early for the 2023 class doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Even it would show your faith that things could kind of pull through, right? And that Nebraska is going to turn it around. But you could also kind of risk looking like a guy that flip-flops a little bit if, things change. Although at the same time, I think most people, if you look close to it, would understand if you commit to Hoiberg and then Hoiberg's not around. I don't know how much of a reputation. Yeah, but it seems kind of odd to commit early to the program before you kind of have a good feeling that it's going in the right direction. But at the same time, how are you going to know that? You'd have to wait till pretty late in the process until it would be comfortable to kind of get in there. But we'll see. We'll see how how they kind of put that 2023 class together.
I think it works. It does. I think it works both ways. I think there's some ways. Again, I don't like to overly try to promote this, but I mean, I am a part of it and I understand it. That's what we do at CerebroSports.com is that we're trying to be able to take not only the levels of competition, we weight those out, and then we'll try to apply some metrics to that to be able to kind of project some career arcing, how their translation based on the levels of competition that they're playing at the high school level, in their AAU programs, where they're playing in their AAU programs, and what the weight of that is in a Under Armour league or an Adidas or an EYBL, as opposed to some of the other leagues. And there's weight scales on those to be able to attribute. So we still don't know. I mean, it's still very early, but he ends up playing for a Wisconsin AAU team, so that keeps them close to Wisconsin to be able to keep their eye on him as well. But that's some of the stuff that we try to do, is we try to help in those decisions and in making those decisions by taking those numbers, give you a little bit more analytical data to dig into a little bit more. Sometimes you see it with the eye test. The eye test can not only tell you, because if you're a guy that's averaging 40 in the YMCA league compared to the EYBL, you're averaging 14. There's a different scale for your levels of translation to the next level. So I think it's going to be interesting to see, and Nebraska's going to have a hard time getting early commits, because I think they're going to have to wait, and they're watching, they're observing, they're checking it out, and making sure that there's going to be some stability in the program before you can really pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, and we'll see. Nebraska basketball. I know it's not going to have expectations, but maybe that can, like huge expectations. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit there, and the expectation is to turn it around. At least, probably, go 500 and above, and start to take the program in the right direction. But I kind of said this all along with as opposed to Husker football. Unless you do get a huge name, and maybe the chance was out there here and there, but they don't seem to be landing that guy this offseason. It's going to be hard to kind of get positive flow back into that program until you win games. And of course, that's kind of the same way for football. It only lasts so long, the offseason hype. But that like the offseason hype is going to be hard to get around Nebraska basketball. So we'll kind of see how it goes. I'll be excited when Nebraska basketball starts. I'm always excited for any day that Nebraska basketball is playing. And, it just feels like the program is closer than it has been, as opposed to the last couple of years where you get kind of a big name in or expect a big change. It kind of feels like the old days of Nebraska basketball. It's like, yeah, we'll be overlooked. And then, we'll see what we can do to try to fight up towards 500. But
well, the key is going to be coaching up and chemistry. Chemistry and coaching up is going to be the key component of whether they're going to have success or not. You saw that last year that at a lot of times throughout those games, there was lack of chemistry. There was extra pass opportunities that could have led to a better shot or another drive for another better shot, which those opportunities weren't taken. You were seeing a lack of box out opportunities where you're just watching the ball and then all of a sudden Keegan Murray or somebody comes over the top and is banging on you because you're not putting bodies or putting chucks on people to keep them off. And so you saw just a lot of lack of chemistry, a lot of lack of growth. You saw at the end, you just saw highlights of it at the end of the season where you kind of wished and hoped that, hey, why wasn't that happening earlier? Why couldn't they have played that way earlier? I think there was a reason to do that, but hopefully those core guys that remained and those new guys that come in, they were able to watch and observe, and the coaching staff is going to be able to relay a message that states, this is what not to do. This is what we do when we win and how we're going to play in a successful manner. This is how we're going to fail if we play in this bad way of playing basketball. So turnovers, taking care of the ball, all things are going to have to be, they're going to play solid. You got to just play solid. If you just play solid across the board, you don't lose big numbers, whether it be in the rebound game or you have a turnover margin difference of 7 to 10, where you're having 18 turnovers and they're having 8, 9, and 10, and you just can't make those up. So you've got to be able to take good shots, make good shots, and play a solid way of basketball, coach them up, and be very solid in the way that you operate, and you can have some success. That's how you're able to overcome some some deficiencies that you may have in other areas of your game.
Yeah, well, I mean, and effort is something that people have questioned at times, and with a new defensive coach and new defensive scheme in here, I think that's going to be, they're not going to get anywhere on talent alone necessarily this year. So I think it's going to be pretty obvious from them what they're going to have to put into this season. So it's going to be very interesting when they get that going. I also wanted to ask you about this. We kind of been talking about it today. 24/7 Sports comes out with an article with the best and worst case scenario for every Big Ten team. Maybe we can go through the other Big Ten teams here in a second, but just to start with Nebraska, it's kind of odd. The biggest question coming out of the article is how did they arrive to this point of the worst case scenario being 6-6? But I'll go ahead and read the article for you. As far as for Nebraska goes, it says best case scenario 9-3 and 7-2 in the Big Ten. Says given Scott Frost's well-documented struggles with the Huskers, you're not going to see many prognosticators slotting Nebraska with a potential 9-3 finish. But in this optimistic projection, the Iowa Showdown, the regular season finale, is the difference in an 8-9 win campaign. One of the 3 losses comes to Oklahoma, by the way. So even if Nebraska goes 9-3, this article doesn't believe too much in Nebraska beating Oklahoma. In any case, worst case scenario says 6-6, 4-5 in the Big Ten in a contract year for Frost with his back against the wall. Nebraska would have to fall off the face of the earth to fail to qualify for a bowl game, considering the Huskers miss Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan State from the other side of the conference. So definitely leaning in toward the fact that Nebraska's schedule's a lot easier. But I mean, can you agree with the worst case scenario being better than any record that Scott Frost has had in his first 4 years?
Yeah, I can see that with their schedule. You can definitely see the worst case scenario landing with them right there in that range. I've even seen and did some research and looked at some other best case scenarios to where some teams have them basically falling, actually beating Oklahoma and falling to Michigan and Iowa, and pretty much winning the West and playing in a Big Ten championship game against Ohio State, where they projected that they probably play well for 2 or 3 quarters, but they're basing that on of what they were able to do out of the transfer portal. But that's the scary part about it. When you're getting players out of the transfer portal, you just don't know how they're going to fit, how they're going to measure up. What's their work ethic going to be like when they get there? Are they going to produce at a level that is necessary in order to win 9 and 10 games in a season? Those things are all uncertain. And so that's the scary part when you start looking at best case scenarios for Nebraska. But we have some optimistic people out there, some optimistic pundits that think that the schedule being very favorable, as you alluded to, missing Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, and those teams on that side. But, teams with great line play who have gotten better, people think that Minnesota is going to be pretty solid. But obviously, a down year probably we'll see early in the year with Northwestern, but Indiana's down, Northwestern, probably be a tough challenge in Minnesota because of the way that they'll pound on you and beat you down. But Nebraska, if they can show up their interior line play, they've got great linebackers. We don't know what their safeties are going to be like and how well their cornerbacks are going to perform. So it's going to be interesting to see the style of play that they're going to offer on the defensive side of things.
When I hear a lot too, like the games, like the schedule is the reason why Nebraska is put in a favorable pole position, and I think that's dangerous at some points to do because you're doing it all based on last year's teams and projections forward, as opposed to playing it out there on the field. I've said, it just feels like every year we kind of lean into that, and it's hard to do with Nebraska where their program is at now, right? I understand in the past going, okay, Rutgers, Indiana, Northwestern, those are all wins. This year, I feel like if you go 2-1 in those games, you're doing pretty good. Because it's hard to predict for sure wins from this team. Obviously, if you're talking about worst case scenarios, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Nebraska drops one of the non-con games, and I'm not talking about Oklahoma, and things kind of go haywire here.
You're saying outside of Oklahoma, you still, I think it's possible too, but I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly.
I'm saying if you're talking about worst case scenario, it's not that I'm being a hater, it's that I've seen it. We saw it with Mike Riley when he dropped to Northern Illinois. It was not supposed to happen, and then it kind of set off the firing of Sean Eichhorst and bringing about the writing on the wall for Mike Riley, and then obviously everybody getting excited for Scott Frost. But I'm saying if you're talking about worst case scenario, 6-6 is to me pretty darn close to not best case scenario for Nebraska, but like I'd almost sign up for it right now. Not that I'd be like too jacked about it, and that's another interesting point for kind of fans. And I saw some rumble on Twitter is that some fans want to keep that kind of 8-9 wins, because it's attainable with this schedule, is to keep the standard there. Don't lower it based on where you've been the previous year, the previous couple of years. I would love to do that too, and I want to keep that standard high, but I just don't think that that's where it's at. I don't think that you're going to need 9 wins to keep your job if you're Scott Frost. That was the case in the past and wasn't enough for people like Bo Pelini and Frank Solich in their final years. But that's just not where Nebraska's program is right now.
Yeah, I mean, some tend to think that they've won. They won in the off-season battle. They're probably going to have to make a few decisions, but they'll probably play itself out as we've talked to Evan Bland and Sip regarding scholarship numbers and the summer's here. Graduation just happened, I think, over the weekend. So there'll probably be some players that'll make an assessment to say that, maybe another plane is better for them than where they are. So that's still yet to play itself out. I still think they need some help in the interior. I still think they need to land one or maybe 2 more. I mean, great find, in the safety room, but they still need some work, I think, on the interior. I think they need to land still a big name or hopefully a solid name that has some form of experience at a level. I'd love to see an SEC type of interior lineman find his way to Nebraska, somebody out of Auburn or someone, where that's one of their mainstays. Love to get a Georgia interior lineman, just fall through the cracks, something like that, right? Definitely, I don't think I'd be interested in a Pac-10 interior lineman. I don't think I'd be interested in ACC interior lineman, but somebody out of that. I would be okay with Big 12. I'd be okay with SEC. But definitely love to find another interior lineman to be able to shore that up, because it's going to be necessary with the run games they're going to face.
Yeah, it will, and you don't want to be like entering the season with a thin line of depth. I think regardless, they're going to be doing that, even if they put a few guys in there. But I mean, they did do a good job. I mean, you can kind of project that in the transfer portal, Devin Drew and O'Shawn Mathis to be starters up there, and I think that they're with O'Shawn Mathis especially. You throw in Caleb Tanner and Garrett Nelson and Ty Robinson in there, it can be pretty disruptive. I think that they can have a pretty decent pass attack. As far as rushing the passer, again, that's not the biggest deal in the Big Ten West. It definitely helps, and it's been a while since Nebraska's been able to provide that. It's also interesting that that happens in a year where the secondary isn't too short up. I mean, you've got one starter returning and a lot of jobs open back there. So it might take some time for those guys to blend, but certainly will help them look better with the pass attack. And man, is there going to be some expectations on O'Shawn Mathis to get a sack or two this year? And when I say a sack or two, I'm talking about like 8 or 9 or more. We'll see if he can live up.
I want to see if they go back to attacking, like an attacking style.
Yeah.
But that's going to depend on how confident they feel. I would say you'd probably be a little bit more confident in the cornerback positions. But I would venture to say making sure that those safeties have, if you're going to attack, you want to make sure your safeties have covering abilities. You have a couple of safeties possibly that can kind of switch back and forth, maybe play nickel and do a little bit of that. But it's going to be interesting to see, because if they're going to be attacking or they're going to be bend but don't break, maybe some zone blitzing, maybe just trying to throw some wrinkles and move some people around and just kind of be creative in their blitz packages. It's going to be, I'm interested to see what Chinander is going to do. I want to know. I really do. I'm going to be watching and seeing what style of a defense that they're going to play. I think landing O'Shawn Mathis can create the ability to move and shift, similar to like what they do with like, in the NFL with Khalil Mack or somebody like that, or, how they do with Aaron Donaldson to move him around a little bit and just give him just mismatch opportunities. So, when you have a guy like that, that can do different things, he has pretty good size. You move him around a little bit, play him, up, play him down, see how it fits. And it can throw some wrinkles in the defense that can cause some problems for offensive schemes.
Yeah, I think especially like Shenander's got something to work with that front seven. As long as again, there aren't too many injuries, at least just playing with it now. Now, other guys will move up and maybe prove themselves, and that's just kind of part of football, is the unknown, and the guys that haven't had too much of a chance to play. But like even a Nash Hutmacher hasn't played too much, and I think Nebraska's relying on him to take it up one of those defensive tackle spots as they probably transition more to a 4-3. What does that mean on passing downs for Garrett Nelson, and where are you going to put O'Shawn Mathis, and where is Devin Drew going to be one of those outside guys? And it's a lot of questions, and all those answers are probably yes sometimes, and that's what's intriguing about it, is just a lot of weapons to work with in the front seven if the back end can be kind of short up, and then if you don't want to get into the world of too many ifs. But all that being said, the biggest step, we talk a lot about the depth there for the defensive line, but it's for that offensive line to get going, allow you to get a traditional running game with some power backs back there, and give your quarterback, who's less of a run threat than Adrian Martinez has been, which has bailed you out plenty of times. Can you pass protect? That's going to be probably the biggest thing for Casey Thompson in this offense to get going. And so there's a lot of questions there, and I think it'll take some time to gel, which, again, that favorable schedule up front is going to help them out. But they better be ready when Oklahoma comes to town. But they're dealing with some transition themselves. So it'll be fun to see how it all turns out. I definitely could see 6-6. I could certainly see creeping up there towards 8 or 9 wins if all goes right. I think my belief that all goes right is no longer there until it's proven on the field. So we'll kind of see how that goes out. Let's take a break. When we come back, let's talk a little bit more nationally about college, about NCAA football. Iowa Athletic Director Gary Barta thinks the NCAA should change the transfer rule amid NIL concerns. We'll talk about if we think that that's a good idea to put some restrictions around the transfer portal back with NIL. They work hand in hand. We'll talk about that next year on The Block on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hello, I'm Charlie Stone, back with the latest news from Honda of Lincoln. Joining me now is the general manager, Andy Goodyear. Hey, Andy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Charlie.
Hey, Andy, with spring right around the corner, how is your supply of new Hondas and pre-owned vehicles?
Really good, Charlie. As I've said before, when you drive by our lot, you don't see what you're looking for, just remember we have hundreds of new Hondas arriving soon, with Honda continuing to offer 0.9% APR financing to qualified buyers. Plus, we have over 125 pre-owned vehicles in stock and ready for immediate delivery.
That's great, Andy. Any more great news?
There is, Charlie. Honda just announced financing from 0.99% APR on certified pre-owned Hondas for qualified buyers.
So come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Spring is here. Are you giving your yard the best chance at being healthy and green? Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn to get your sprinklers ready to go for the season if they haven't been working properly. They're also scheduling installs for new sprinkler systems if you don't have one. So make sure you contact them early to get a bid as soon as possible. Plus, they're your one place to go for 5-step fertilizer and pesticide application and lawn aeration. Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn today at 402-413-1215.
Life after college has been great, but paying off my student loans, not so great. I needed a fast way to help pay off my loans. Then I found it, a research study at Solarium. I searched the studies and found a perfect match for me. It was so easy. I earned cash for the study and paid off those student loans. Plus, I made an impact on medical research. Find a study and sign up today at helpresearch.com.
You should consider the risks of the research before you agree to participate.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Hey, sports fans. Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for his Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Hey, it's Nelson. Isn't it a great feeling when a company has your budget in mind instead of trying to squeeze it all out of you? That's why Caterpillar Vapes has been voted a fan favorite among premium e-juice, CBD, and Delta 8 customers year after year. And now they're here in Lincoln. Returning customers are always enjoying weekly deals and perks, and new Caterpillar Vapes customers get 50% off their entire first purchase. A company that cares about their customers. Crazy, right? In a hurry? Try the drive-thru. Caterpillar Vapes, 2601 North 11th Street, and online at caterpillarvapes.com.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
And now, poetry from the world of Yum. You need a treat, but not something predictable. Cookies, cupcakes, apple pie, it's all boringly typical. So here's a little rule of thumb. Take that income, avoid the humdrum, and get yourself to the world of Yum. The cakes are made for any celebration, every cause of elation, alongside every occasion. So get in your car. You would be remiss not to take that drive down to Beatrice.
Check out Grandma's fruitcake and all the delicious desserts at Beatrice Bakery. Welcome to our world of Yum.
People always ask, what are Jake and Sip like when they're off the air? Well, the answer probably won't surprise you.
Hey, Jake, your Honda's looking a little dirty.
Says the guy whose license plate is barely visible.
I mean, do you even care about that thing anymore?
It gets a little uncomfortable. Now, that's when I jump in.
Hey, whoa. Mark, did you get a new car?
Nope, just took my car down to Nebraska Auto Detail. Joe and the staff made the outside and the inside look amazing. Maybe you guys need to go.
Okay, wise guy.
Settle down, Jake.
Call Nebraska Auto Detail today at 402-601-5086.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It's a block parody here on The Block. I'm Jake Bachman. He is Eric Strickland, and we're with you every weekday here and here on a Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you out there. We're talking some more college football as we just went over an article that has Nebraska's worst case scenario at 6-6, best case scenario at 9-3. I want to get into Iowa's athletic director Gary Barta thinks the NCAA should change their transfer rule amid all these NIL concerns. So we'll get to that in a second. Real quickly, I thought you might be interested in some of the other best and worst case scenarios around the league according to this 24/7 Sports article. So maybe we'll kind of have you respond to these. The biggest gap I see is Illinois. Their best case scenario is 7-5, and worst case scenario 2-10. So maybe it depends on how much you buy into Brett Bielema and some of the games that he got going there. I expect Brett Bielema to keep that thing rocking there. But for Northwestern, especially Nebraska's first opponent, that one's pretty interesting. The Northwestern has a pretty easy non-con outside of Nebraska. Obviously, it's not in the non-con, but that's the first game, so maybe they can get going. But they have the best case scenario at 7-5, and Pat Fitzgerald turning it around once again. We've seen that in the past from Northwestern, so I think that's kind of interesting too. Kind of interesting as far as
I think if he does that, Bach, I think if he does that, I think if Pat Fitzgerald pulls off a 7-5 in the Big Ten, he's got to be in the running for Coach of the Year, just based on what he's got. I mean,
it's a big turnaround there,
man. And then the matchups that he has there, that would be a huge turnaround for him. The matchups there with Nebraska and then Penn State was kind of the juggernaut that he has to go through, but he has 3 of those at home, other than the long trip game against Nebraska. I think that would bode very well for him if he could pull off splitting those type of games, winning maybe 3 out of those 5, or even 2 out of those 5 would be phenomenal. So yeah, man. Yeah, that's the way I would view it. Pat Fitzgerald would be in my book for Coach of the Year. That way he could turn that program around with all the restrictions.
Yeah, they're just kind of fascinating altogether. And I was thinking about this the other day is, there's an idea in the future that the Big Ten or SEC and all the conferences, whatever, break off, create their own little semi-pro league. And that's the future of the NCAA. In that scenario, you kind of think, well, the Big Ten and the SEC teams, they just, move them right ahead. Nobody gets any questions. They're automatically in because of the brotherhood that they set up. But, there are some schools within there like Northwestern that maybe that doesn't make the most sense in the world. It's just not, that big of a football following there. They claim themselves as Chicago's Big Ten team. They've got a lot of good sports writers and a great college of journalism for sports. Don't get me wrong there. I mean, they've got their own things going for Northwestern, prestigious university to get into. But as far as football upside, like they've got an amazing coach there, and yet even he has trouble like sustaining any success there. Mm-hmm. As good as coach as Pat Fitzgerald is, and he's been Big Ten Coach of the Year, he's been like National Coach of the Year, and he's been there since 2006 now. And he's had trouble putting back-to-back years together. As far as back-to-back, I suppose he's had a few years where he's won, 9-8 and 10-9 the next year. But it's just, their down years are rough.
Well, he has a trifecta of just problems he has to deal with, right? You got NIL problems. Now they've got that governmental type of reach. A lot of CIAs and CIA directors and all these types of people. So they got some money potential in there for NIL opportunities and big big time CEOs and stuff like that come out of there in Northwestern. But they have not only the restrictions on education, because it's one of those tough programs to just get into as far as having to meet requirements for your education as well. It's tough. And then just the talent level, your competition. And so you've got transfer portal, NIL, you got your educational restrictions, and just your location and what you have to do to try to draw kids out there to Northwestern is tough for a football program.
They just always Yeah, I mean, just their stadium sticks out like a sore thumb as opposed to other Big Ten stadiums. It's just doesn't have the following, so it's never going to be able to throw the punches. I mean, you just imagine, and they've had a few coaches like that, to be honest with you. Like, in the past, you think about the team that Fitzgerald played for that went to the Rose Bowl in the mid '90s there. It's just hard to sustain success for a few coaches there, even Pat Fitzgerald. So we'll kind of see how that turns out. But I thought that was kind of interesting too, that there is somebody out there that believes that they can get it turned around. I thought it was too interesting in this article. Minnesota 11-1, the best case scenario. Worst case scenario 7-5. I think that's a game that Nebraska fans like to overlook or still maybe want to be able to look down at Minnesota, but that's pretty difficult to do these days. And with the culture versus skill talk and the sloganeering battle that you've kind of had between Fleck and Frost, you got Fleck's attention, and he seems to have Frost's number as far as the coaching battle and mismatch, I would even call it at this point so far. So that's definitely an interesting game too. We'll quickly run through the best case and worst case for these other teams. Purdue's at 9 wins is best case, worst case 6. Maryland, best case 7, worst case 4. Rutgers, best case 7, worst case 3. Indiana's very interesting, best case 5 and worst case 1. So at least according to this writer, they're not going to make it to a bowl game. Iowa, it's unpredictable. The best case 10, worst case 5. And if they do win a bunch of games, they're going to be down in the third quarter and somehow turn around at the last second.
You just don't know. You just don't know with Kirk Ferentz what they're going to be able to do. And then they just have a quarterback issue, man. They have a quarterback issue. They don't have great wide receiver skill position depth. And their offensive scheme is just so basic. I mean, their route combinations. I mean, as a DB, I would have loved to play against Iowa because their route combinations are so simplified. And I would have loved that. But you just don't know. I mean, they've normally been able to rely on running game, great play action type of team, very pro style offense. And they've got to figure out something that they could do. I just don't know if Kirk Ferentz could, get it done for me. I think in totality,
I'll never doubt him anymore. He's been there a long time and get things turned around there. Wisconsin, it feels like every year is best case 11, worst case 7 wins. So that makes a lot of sense. And there's usually not too big of a difference between those teams. It's just, getting the wins in the end or not. Michigan State, they have 10, best case, worst case 7. I can see
that's an odd one. Yeah, that's an odd one. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the one that I think can go worst case flop as well the other way. So that's kind of an odd one for me. You've heard it as far as 3-4 wins as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Penn State, another interesting one, 10, best case, worst case 7. Remember, they were a top 10 team last year and fell off considerably. Now they lose Brent Pry, their defensive coordinator, so maybe a little bit of a change of the guard there. We'll see. Michigan, best case 11, worst case 9, so a lot of respect there. And then same thing with Wisconsin, kind of Ohio State, program of stability, except for that step higher, right? Best case 12, worst case 9. That sounds about right for Ohio State. Let's quickly get into the article again by the Gary Barta thoughts there, the Iowa athletic director, who thinks the NCAA should change their transfer rule amid the NIL concerns. Basically wants to slow down college roster movement because NIL is not being used correctly within that roster movement anyway, right? Basically take away the free agency aspect that we've seen that's both helped and hurt Nebraska, even in the defensive line room, right? It's pretty easy to, point to Casey Rogers not having to sit out a year, going right to Oregon. O'Shawn Mathis for Nebraska, the opposite way, gets a jump right in, and I think NIL might have had a little bit to help bring him into Lincoln. So it's kind of interesting. A lot of athletic directors are kind of working together to get this thing fixed. Do you think that that's a way? I mean, it kind of hurts the players, and this has been a whole player movement that we've seen in college football over the last several years, and thank God, because I at least in my opinion, it is in due time. But maybe it's not great to give everything at once, because right now there's just so much there's so much roster movement. You don't want to kind of lose your identity of the teams and why you like college football to begin with. This NIL thing, in Barta's opinion, this would, if you make a player sit out a year again before playing again, would kind of stop the free agency part of it, not necessarily help the recruiting portion of, getting freshmen out of the gate, but basically the tampering that we've seen, that sort of problem. That's the biggest problem people are having with modern day college football, and he sees that as maybe a way to stop it. But then again, that restricts player mobility, which was something we were kind of hoping to get, for the players to begin with. But maybe you can't have player mobility and NIL opportunities at the same time till we kind of hash it out a little bit.
The way that I view it, I don't see anything wrong with what he's saying. I think as I read into kind of what I think he's trying to say, I think it mitigates and it takes care of some of the early stuff. So some of the monies that are coming out so quick, but then if you eliminate the like freshmen or redshirt freshmen from bolting so quickly, like you've got to be on campus for, if you redshirt 2 years, if you're a single one year, and then the next year you can jump in there if you want to. But I think that part of it, if you limit that part and you then minimize the entry level NIL money and allow it to be the established NIL money, I think you can work along those parameters and make it work. But if you're able to do it from an early standpoint, early recruitment, they're talking about NIL money for guys that are 2024 going up in the $5 and $8 million range for some quarterbacks. That's crazy. But I think if you get them on campus, they make the decision. Their decision's got to be that decision for at least a year. And then they can go out there, because then when they go out there, if they haven't played, they haven't produced, they haven't did anything, then their NIL transfer money is not going to be crazy, right? Who's going to give somebody a crazy NIL deal and they haven't did anything to perform, right? So that's going to, I think, set the scales on how guys in their transfers will be able to assimilate themselves. Like, so example, O'Shawn Mathis, he performed. He did the work, he did the job. So him, after spending time on campus playing, he set a scale from where he could probably command some NIL transfer opportunities for him, right? Or some guys, just say like some St. Peter's guys that blew up, or you have a guy at Marquette like a Dwayne Wade, and he goes nuts for you, and all of a sudden, or Jimmy Butler, and then now all of a sudden he finds himself in his junior year, and North Carolina's calling with some opportunity. Hey, that might be a good look for me, or maybe Creighton, or what I'm saying, or wherever. That's when I think it makes sense. I think other than that, it's before that point, trouble. They got to rectify that.
It's just kind of interesting. Maybe it comes down to your own morals or your own kind of thought about what it's going to be. So it's going to be hard to kind of reshape this thing, because a lot of people have a problem with the Jordan Addison situation, and but that's kind of going along with what you're saying. He's playing at Pittsburgh. Maybe he should be able to benefit it, much like Kenny Pickett obviously took advantage of it, and he didn't have a choice. But he, a first round draft pick. Mark Whipple takes advantage of it. Financially benefits going to take Nebraska job. Why can't Jordan Addison financially benefit from their big blow up year?
Let real quick before we go to break, because here's what I'm saying, right? Cluster Johnson was my quarterback at Bellevue West. He leaves. I'm looking around like, who's going to throw the ball to me? I've got to probably play running back, fullback, receiver, linebacker. I'm like, no, that's not for me. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? So that I can see that if I'm Jordan Addison, I'm saying, ooh, I just got busy this year. Who's going to throw me the rock? I've watched him. I don't feel comfortable with that. Let me find another opportunity. I don't see anything wrong with that. I produced. I should be able to command the opportunity to go, and I should be able to play that next year. Now, if it's your second time bouncing, Bach, like say you bounce somewhere and you showed up and then you perform and then you try to bounce again. No, sir. You got to stay a minute. Yeah. That's the one I say you got to stay. You got, the next year maybe, but not 2 times you get the bounce like that. No.
Yeah, and Garrett Barta at least it wants to take away your one-time transfer rule. Obviously, I think everybody's on board with graduate transfers at any time. You graduate, go ahead. But it's kind of interesting to see where it's going to land. But we also are interested to see who's going to win Shootout with Strick today. It could be you. Give us a call, 402-464-5685. If you do win, $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings richer you will be. But Strick is won a few games in a row. I think today is 2007 trivia. So go ahead and give us a call, 402-464-5685. Shootout with Strick is next here on the block.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Gus Cottle. In the first round of the Class A state baseball tournament, Millard West defeated Kearney 3-0. Lincoln East defeated Elkhorn South 10-0. Millard South defeated Lincoln Southeast 9-5. And Creighton Prep defeated Omaha Westside 3-0. In state soccer, Gretna Boys Soccer will meet Omaha Westside in the Nebraska Class A Boys State Soccer Championship. Gretna Girls Soccer will face Lincoln Southeast in the Nebraska Class A Girls State Soccer Championship. Omaha Skutt Boys Soccer will face Lexington for the Class B State Soccer Championship, and Omaha Skutt Girls Soccer will face Norris in the Class B Girls Soccer Championship. This has been your Southeast Community College High School Minute. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
Seasons change, but your land stays the same. You need the right solutions to keep you moving. That's why you rely on Acres Equipment, your Nebraska-owned premier John Deere dealership. Whether you're harvesting, protecting your crops, feeding the herd, maintaining your lawn, improving your business, or letting off some steam, Acres has what you need to get the job done. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Steve's Garage Doors and Services is under new management, but has the same great service as before. If your current garage door seems outdated or isn't working properly, call their new number at 402-480-2840 to schedule service or get a new door ordered. Steve's can repair most types of garage doors and can always point you in the right direction to get the job done. Give Steve's Garage Doors and Services a call today at 402-480-2840. That's 402-480-2840.
Another packed summer sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. Stop by for great deals on May's Beer of the Month for Boulevard Brewing, Tallgrass Brewing, and Glacial Till Ciders. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 Oak Street.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your first alert weather forecast tonight. Showers and thunderstorms likely. A few storms could be severe. Overnight lows right around 60 with light winds. Cloudy in the morning Wednesday, sunny and warm in the afternoon. Highs around 83. I'm MTV Chief Forecaster Kent Boughton for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Naloxone is a drug used to safely reverse an opioid overdose and is now more readily available in Nebraska. I'm Dr. Rob Rhodes, a Nebraska family practice physician. I encourage you to learn how to respond to an opioid overdose and administer naloxone to potentially save a life by getting the free Opie Rescue app for your phone. Be Opie ready. Download Opie Rescue.
Paid for by the CDC. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
These days, there are more reasons than ever to treat yourself to a great haircut at Great Clips with the online check-in app. So tell us, why do you check in?
I check in because I'm tired of hat hair. I check in because we all need a cut.
I check in so I can feel like me.
And I check in, so I look good for you.
No matter why you check in, you'll check out with a great haircut and save time with our online check-in app. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
Hey, sports fans. Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for his Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
It's the weekend. Do you know where your kids are? The dangers of alcohol, marijuana, and other controlled substances are bad enough. They become even worse when teens get behind the wheel or catch a ride with an impaired driver. Parents, it's time to start what could be a life-saving conversation with your kids about the dangers of underage drinking and drug use. Learn more at coalitionrx.org. Paid for by federal grant dollars through Nebraska DHHS and Region 6 Behavioral Healthcare. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
It's time to play Shootout with Strick. Call now, 464-5685, to take your shot against Eric Strickland. Shootout with Strick. Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Time to play the game!
It's time to play the best game on the radio station, and just radio in general. Not just talking trash with Shut Up Sip. That's a pretty darn good game, if we're being honest. But just everywhere, any game ever, Shootout with Strick is better than all of those. Right here on the block, and we're ready to go here. We have Braden on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Braden, were you paying attention in the year 2007?
Well, you guys hear me okay? I'm on my AirPod.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I was, let's see, how old was I? I was 9 years old, so I'm a young man.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty young.
Yeah. I don't know, is it in general the year, or are we talking sports only?
Mostly sports, but in general. It's mostly sports, though, so you'll be good.
I was only 12.
People listening. Every time I listen, I think, man, these guys don't know anything, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
I was only 12, so it's okay. You know,
Yeah.
you were 9.
Yeah, all right, we good then.
He wasn't 12. He's lying to you. But we'll start with Strick, and then we'll go over to Braden. And so Braden knows how many points to get. Strick, are you ready to go? It's obviously either or format, money ball for the fifth question.
All right, let's go.
All right, we'll go in 3, 2, and 1. He becomes the fastest NBA coach to 900 wins in NBA history. Pat Riley or Phil Jackson?
Pat Riley.
It is actually Phil Jackson. J.K. Rowling finishes writing the last book of this series, Twilight or Harry Potter?
Twilight.
It's actually Harry Potter. He wins the 49th Daytona 500 by less than half a second. Jeff Gordon or Kevin Harvick?
Jeff Gordon.
It's actually Kevin Harvick. She releases her hit single Umbrella with Jay-Z, Rihanna or Beyonce?
Rihanna.
That is correct. And this swimmer smashes his own 400-meter record in the World Championships. Name a swimmer.
I know it. Oh gosh, I know it. Ow! I can't remember his name. Michael Phelps. God dang it!
Would have been 3 points, but 1 point there for you. That was a difficult one, but so we'll see that it makes it easy enough. Nate's here to talk.
I don't want to put salt in the wound, Strick, but Jake Sorensen got every single one of those right.
Oh, Jake Sorensen's on his trivia. He's ready to roll.
I was sleeping in 2007, so that's why.
Yeah. Let's go to somebody that was 9 years old in 2007 and see if he can do a little bit better. Braden, are you ready to roll?
Wait, we know that Nate gave him all the easy ones. We know that.
Yeah, there might be some easy. What did you say, Braden?
I knew most of those. So
Most of those. All right, we'll see. Here we go. In 3, 2, and 1. The CEO announces the iPhone. The CEO, Bill Gates or Steve Jobs?
Steve Jobs.
That's correct. This legendary quarterback would finally get his first Super Bowl win against the Bears. Ben Roethlisberger or Peyton Manning?
Manning?
That's correct. This Laker would win the 2007 NBA All-Star Game MVP. Shaquille O'Neal or Kobe Bryant?
Kobe?
That's correct. His jersey is retired by the Oilers in 2007. Mark Messier or Wayne Gretzky?
Gretzky?
It was actually Messier. And this LSU quarterback draft bust is taken by the Oakland Raiders.
What pick was it?
First pick.
First pick, 2007.
Jamarcus Russell. You guys are killing me, man. I knew it. Nate, it's a conspiracy theory. I knew it.
It was Jamarcus Russell, but that doesn't matter. Nate, we'll get to you here in a second. But first, we have to celebrate Braden and his victory there. You got 3 points. You didn't need the Jamarcus Russell one, and you end up with $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings, meaning you can either talk trash to Strick or go ahead and take the high road.
Strick, I don't even really know you that well, so I'll just go the high road, my man.
All right, I appreciate it.
And you get your shout-outs. Oh, we got to turn your shout-outs up a little bit.
Give me a hell yeah. I said give me a hell yeah.
Congratulations, Braden, on $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings and knocking off undefeated Strick on the week. So now Strick is no longer undefeated, even though it was just one day. How's it going, Nate?
I will not take any of this slander. Michael Phelps is the easiest question I've ever asked on this game. That's just bad.
Nate, doggy dog. I should have known it was a conspiracy with you, man. You didn't want to see Stricky get no more wins. I knew you was going to do me like that.
The tiebreaker is really interesting, and this would be a difficult question because he includes the draft picks. The Celtics would obtain Kevin Garnett from the Timberwolves in the NBA's biggest ever trade for one player. How many players, including draft picks, were traded from the Celtics to get Kevin Garnett?
6.
7. So that's a pretty good. I mean, you might have won the tiebreaker had you got more than 1 point, but not
Nate,
this.
doggy dog. Nate, are we gonna be working together this month? I might put in for a Nick transfer. I need a trade.
You might put in a trade yourself. We'll take a quick break here on the block. When we come back, plenty to break down. CBS ranks Scott Frost 53rd among 65 Power 5 coaches. That's not a good ranking. We'll ask you guys to see if that's correct or if you can argue another way. Also, Shane Beamer would like to see scrimmages with other teams come to college football. Would you be interested in a scrimmage maybe in August or maybe to replace the Scream game? We'll talk about that stuff next here on the block on 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. The internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it's been a great start here to the year as 2022 new inventory continues to roll in. Our pre-owned lot remains full, and we are selling at a record pace. I was just down at Koppel talking about a new order for myself, and they let me know I can actually start ordering a 2023 here later this spring. So stop on in to get your new 2022, your pre-owned vehicle, or maybe talk about ordering here for 2023. Check them out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did.
Another packed summer sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. Stop by for great deals on May's Beer of the Month for Boulevard Brewing, Tallgrass Brewing, and Glacial Till Ciders. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
Spring is here. Are you giving your yard the best chance at being healthy and green? Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn to get your sprinklers ready to go for the season if they haven't been working properly. They're also scheduling installs for new sprinkler systems if you don't have one. So make sure you contact them early to get a bid as soon as possible. Plus, they're your one place to go for 5-step fertilizer and pesticide application and lawn aeration. Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn today at 402-413-1215.
Hi, this is Dave Austed from Austed's Golf. Let us make this your best season yet. Voted a top 100 fitter by Golf Digest, our master fitters have been trained by the same guys that build clubs for PGA pros like Rory, Tiger, DJ, and Jordan. Have old clubs? Trade them in Osted's Value Guide, or have our club specialists get your clubs swinging like new. Go to our website and make your fitting appointment. You're a click away from a better golf game. Play better, have fun, and shop Osted's.
Mike Schaefer here for Trek CBD. Springtime is here, and that means you're outside more in nice weather and maybe even having garage parties with neighbors. The drink of this spring and summer isn't your typical seltzer. It's drinkable Delta 8. Yep, Trek CBD has drinkable Delta 8 seltzers with mango and lime flavors for 4-packs and 12-packs, coming in a variety of mango, watermelon, lime, and berry. They also have hemp-derived Delta 9 syrups to put in your beverages, and as always, the excellent Delta 8 gummies. Trek CBD, CBD done right.
This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and lover of bread, Jake Bachowin.
What? I like bread.
Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Hold up.
Back on the block on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. You're with E. Strick and Jake Bachowin on the block with Strick and Bach. Every, did I say every day? I meant every day from 4 to 6 Central Standard Time. You find me in Florida, you find him in Lincoln, Nebraska, but soon and very soon, you will find us both together, side by side in Lincoln, Nebraska together. Because we will definitely be on the block for real. But as of right now, there's a lot going on in sports. Conference finals jumping off like in a few hours. I'm trying to get off the block so I can get on the TV block and find out what's going on in these finals. I need to see what's happening. But I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm really excited about what's because really, man, Bach, this year, and we'll get more into it, but this year for me has, I really didn't watch much basketball, but I'm really impressed with some of the defensive play because it just seemed to me that it was so lackluster. It was, when you watch, when I used to go to All-Star games, Bach, back in the day, I used to go because I knew it was going to be some competition. I knew they were going to get after each other. I knew that they weren't going to go hard to where somebody like got hurt, but I knew in that fourth quarter, people were going to start locking down, getting after it, going after it, and trying to win. And when I'm watching these All-Star games now, 150 to 165, man, come on, bro. Yeah. That irks me to the core. And so to watch these playoffs this year, man, and to watch how I'm glad the NBA referees, whatever decision they made, Monty McCutcheon and that crew, he's from my era, so he's taken over, and to watch how they're allowing defense to play defense again. That's why you're seeing some scores barely breaking 100. You're seeing some scores doing stuff like that, man. So for me, it's been an interesting time. I didn't mean to delve off into that. See, we always have talking points, and but the sense and the feeling of knowing that we're going to be side by side and we flow off of each other, we normally have talking points. We're supposed to be talking right now. We're going to get into that. I'm going to jump off of that and jump into this because Scott Frost, out of Power 5 coaches, has been ranked in the lower tier of that coaching. That's blowing my mind right now, bro. But I understand it. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't get it. I get it. And that's why there's a lot of apprehension, Bach, about, the prospects of Nebraska finding themselves with the Bob the Builder type of optimism that we're seeing at a, 8, 9, 10 win season, because Scott Frost, based on the pundits, is saying he's at 53 right now. Do you on the Sauter Heyman text line think that's right? 402-464-5685, or do you think that they've got it wrong? Scott is a great and super coach, should be in the top 10. How you feel about it? Bach, talk to me.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to fight too much for Frost, I guess, from that standpoint at this point. Drumstick even chimes in on the text line. It's a totally fair score. Frost has had 0 winning seasons 4 straight years. For what it's worth, they kind of have the previous ranking, and I'm sure it's been falling and falling and falling. He was 47th last year for the CBS ranking, and now 53rd. And I'll go ahead and read the little bite for it before I get into my opinion. It says, when Frost came to Nebraska fresh off a 13-0 mark at UCF, he was ranked highly because of it. He's fallen every season since. After going 3-9 last year, Frost has been at Nebraska 4 seasons and hasn't reached a bowl game. He's only 15-29 overall and 10-25 in the Big Ten. These are all stats that we're well familiar with, but nationally, I guess you get introduced in there. Says he took a pay cut to get another season in Lincoln, but this fairy tale won't have a happy ending if things don't turn around soon. So that's a little bit there. And yeah, I mean, I missed those seasons. It was particularly, I guess, back when you had Bo Pelini. Mike Riley didn't really stay long enough, and the belief, at least I guess there, wasn't always there to begin with to really fight for Mike Riley to be higher in these rankings. But with Bo, at least early in his years, it was like, put him up there, put him up in the top 15. What's this number 22, And so you'd always have these off-season arguments that you could have. And, I think you were probably doing that with Frost his first couple of years, even with these. So you kind of miss it with this year because it is just kind of like it's prove it for everybody. Everybody wants to see instead of you being highly ranked in these type of lists, getting wins on the field, and ultimately that's going to hurt you in these type of lists. And that's where it is. I mean, you look at some of the names around him. A lot of them just kind of first-year head coaches. Dan Lanning at Oregon is at 54. Herm Edwards is at 55. Dino Babbers at Syracuse. Carl Durrell at Colorado. Jeff Collins at Georgia Tech. All very much struggling coaches. But as for what it's worth in the Big Ten, he is going to be, at least salary-wise, the $4 million salary that he has is going to be tied, I believe, with Mike Locksley for the least amount in the league, or I think Locksley might even have a little bit more in his salary. And if you look at these rankings as far as Big Ten, right, it makes sense. These rankings as far as Big Ten goes, Frost is at the bottom. So as we talk about your confidence and getting excited for this season, all the changes that have been made, you have to do that with a reminder that nationwide, basically, people are kind of looking at it saying you probably have the worst coach in the league, at least as far as momentum and all that stuff is concerned right now.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm looking at this, you have Mike Locksley at 50. Then Big Ten coaches, even Tom Allen jumps up at 40, and then Bielema at 38. I mean, he is like literally way down the totem pole when you're looking at these rankings. And so it's a scary thought, but maybe it lights a spark under him, right? Maybe it just sets a fire ablaze that just gives him an assertiveness to really allow his coaches to do what they do best and step out of the way. Because a lot of people are saying if Frost just gets out of his own way, that maybe his teams will be even better. Leave basically, all the staff alone. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Especially calling plays. Like, just let Whipple do what Whipple do. Leave him alone. Let him do what he do. Let Shenander do what he do. And you just oversee and make sure these kids are being built up and they're being coached up. And you just make sure everything's in line and in order as far as your culture, your development, and you just make sure it's going in the right path of what you're hoping to change it to be. Stay out of the way.
Yeah, I want to get to some response on the text line. That really is kind of the feeling right here, right? Is that, maybe let Mark Whipple kind of take over that offense. He's still known, or it seems like he's going to kind of be in charge of the running game, which he's had. For what it's worth, the offensive line that they've had, it hasn't been the traditional running game, right, with the running back so much is relying on Adrian Martinez, but he has had one of the better running games in the Big Ten over the last couple of years, so maybe that makes a little sense. Let's go to the text line and getting some response here. Andrew says, he's talking about the NBA there. Let's go to this one says, Little shocked, OG Lancaster says, little shocked he dropped that much from last year. The argument could be made that he outcoached Harbaugh and Lincoln Riley last year. I think a lot of it has to do with, like you said, kind of getting out of his own way, because as I see it, especially the Oklahoma game there, he coached well, kind of conservatively trying to stay in the game, but it was definitely leaning on the defense. So as I see it, I think that a lot of credit should be given to his defensive coordinator for kind of carrying the heavy load in that sort of game. And you could probably say the same thing about Michigan. That play coming out of halftime to Austin Allen, that was a good design. You like to see kind of, some work done at halftime. That's been a critique of his over the years. But again, they didn't have any points at halftime, so again, maybe Eric Shenander gets a little bit of credit there, but I mean, overall, the head coach should get the credit. Bo Lever says, Scott is a good coach, get some wins and it will change. Special teams will get coached this year. Boy, do I hope so, because they talk, I want to take them at their word for it. They hired Bill Bush as a special teams coach, but they've said that before. This is not the first time you've been promised in the Scott Frost regime that they're going to pay close attention to the special teams, only to have it be as bad as it's ever been last year because of specialists, because of coaching, whatever you want to blame there. But that's something that's a little bit hard to nail down. Jory says, who would Nebraska go after coaching wise? I still had no answers on that. It would cost $6 million a year minimum. And I don't think a lot of coaches would be jumping for a Nebraska job. This is obviously if things go awry and you have to go away from Scott Frost. There are a lot of jobs that have a lot of pressure on them, but to me, this is probably the best Nebraska, opening has been in quite some time as far as the pressure that you'll have coming in, right? When you were replacing a 9-win coach in Solage, or replacing Pelini after all those, 9-win seasons, 9-10-win seasons, your expectation was to achieve that. If Frost goes awry this year and doesn't make a bowl game or whatever, you basically don't have to get 7 wins and people will be, very happy with you in year one. So I'll say this. I don't think that you're going to get the name that you got in Scott Frost as far as, where he was in the coaching rank, where you get an A+ from everybody on, going out and getting that guy. You might not get the highest name on the market, but I think you could still get, several good names there. And I know, different people can name off different guys, but, Chris Kleiman's a big favorite over there at Kansas State that you might be able to get away. Nebraska will still have, like you said, the money to throw out there to entice some people if that is the way it goes down. I wouldn't be too worried about it. Jory says Brett Bielema would be my first call. I do not disagree with you there. I've long been a Brett Bielema run the ball type of guy myself, because that's the blueprint. That's what worked at Nebraska. That's what's working at Wisconsin. It's what's working at Iowa. It's what's working at Minnesota. It's what's worked in the Big Ten. So it might change it a little different on, your roster makeup and what you have to look at moving forward. You definitely have to get that offensive line right if you're going to kind of have Brett Bielema in there, but that's the specialist, Big Ten Coach of the Year 3 times, Big Ten champion 3 times there at Wisconsin. I could see that transitioning here. So that's definitely something I've been saying for years, and that's why I like Bert over there at Illinois, even though he's on a rival or a division foe at least.
Well, I'll tell you what, I want to hear from somebody on the Honda Lincoln hotline. I want to hear a couple of voices on the matter as to where you think Scott Frost ranks, and do you think it's too low, or do you think it should be a little bit better, or is it the right in the zone? We had some great text informers in that text in the text line, but on the Honda and Lincoln hotline at 402-464-5685, definitely would love to hear a voice on it, because at this point, I think what I would do, though, to be honest, you brought in a nice core group of coaches out of great programs that have had some success, right? I think barring any craziness that would happen or anything with some scandals or something like that, I think you have a couple of coaches internally that you could probably turn to and keep the program going in a nice trajectory upward, in recruiting, in bringing in, and building culture. And there's familiarity. You wouldn't have like a bunch of transfer portal jumps, being that they came for a certain reason. There's still some continuity, but just maybe a different voice, a different way of handling it. You have a couple coaches, and maybe Whipple, a few more years, or even Mickey Joseph or somebody of that nature. to be able to possibly transition over. It's not going to probably kill you or hurt you. And if they're performing in their rooms and having success, then it might be something internally that you can look to without having to just totally revamp and change the whole methodology.
Yeah, I mean, that would be kind of odd because Nebraska would have to, like, they'd have to have, like, the offense really stand out. And then just, like, obviously Scott Frost CEO role, like, crumble to want to go with Whipple, or, you know, maybe the wide receiver unit, you know, is just great. And then go that way. I think if you're going to move on from Frost, you might be able to retain guys, but to hire the head coach off the staff, I think would be difficult to do, or just difficult to see a situation.
I don't see why though, because they're new, right? Yeah, I mean, obviously they're part of a program that is kind of fallen short of the mark, right? But they're still fresh. They don't have the stains and the markings of what has actually been here, unless they just totally fall off the map. I don't actually see that part happening. I could see you losing some games and, you know, some things like that. But I would venture to say that you probably still don't have that bad mark on your list if you're in a turn. Now, I understand your point. I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that could be an option in order to not, if you fall short of the mark. But if you are able to raise the bar and there's some sight in that, I could see that possible, being that you're new to the program.
Yeah,
that's just
I see a high likelihood of maybe retaining them in their spot, especially. You know, I see that as more of a likelihood. And, the other, when you kind of think about moving on from there, I just, for Joseph or Whipple, it'd be their first head coaching job. I don't feel like Nebraska's a place to kind of learn on the job. So that, that's another hesitancy I would have on that. Let's go to Wayne here on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Wayne, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, we're not doing too bad. You have any thoughts on Scott Frost here?
Yes, I think he should be ranked a lot higher. After all, he coached the best 3-9 team in history, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He was right. He was in front of that one.
I also wanted to talk real quick. I was watching something on the news the other day about the players making money, and I really didn't look into it much. I thought maybe at the most that a player might make be about $50,000 a year. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah.
And they got a kid that's driving a Lamborghini around.
Yeah.
Or Ferrari. We're talking about making more than probably some of the, like a lineman coach or some of their coaches. They're making a heck of a lot more than some of the people that come in and seeing them. And then you got the portal. They can do whatever they want there. I think the power has swung too far now to the players. This is a little crazy. I think there's going to be a lot of coaches that are going to be not going to be able to adapt to this, and they're going to lose their job because they don't know how to talk to. I guess you got to talk to boosters to go have them talk to these kids and offer them this money. And plus, I'll end with this. I have a bad feeling. A 19-year-old, a Ferrari or Lambo or whatever it is, or a kid that's got $1 million. That's a lot of money for even the kids that are coming out in the NFL. And I'm worried about a really good kid getting in trouble because he shouldn't have $1 million in his damn pocket. They never reach the NFL where could get millions and millions.
Yeah.
But that's all I have to say.
All right, thanks for the call, Wayne. We'll go ahead and respond to that. I mean, there. With the first point, that really was the best 3-9 team. I always am fascinated by the idea of like telling somebody that was a good team, right? Like if you had to explain that season in like a few paragraphs to somebody, it would have to include like that team was really good, but I've never seen a team get in its way so much. Like athletically it was, and that's what part of my fear with this team moving forward is I think that roster was probably the best roster that they've had since 2014, 2013, and they just didn't capitalize off of it. I don't know if you have that type of roster talent coming back. They're trying to plug here and there in the portal, and maybe it'll work out, and we'll see. And, sometimes you get better results with less roster talent anyway, so it's not necessarily always going to translate that way, but that is a concern of mine. As far as the portal goes, yeah, I mean, that's in the NIL money. That's kind of the mess that the NCAA is in right now, and college football as a whole. Basically, all the administrators, all the coaches don't necessarily like it. They're trying to put up guardrails and restrictions. But it is kind of this, over the last couple of years, this player mobility and player empowerment movement, which I think is right as far as like where like you're in the right headspace there. You just have to have guardrails around it, and that has not been done yet. So they're working toward that. Strick, you have anything to kind of?
I mean, that's the point that Deion Sanders was making. I mean, what the caller just stated when he called in that's the point Deion Sanders was making about how and where this can go, and the difficulty that comes. It's very similar in the NBA, right? The NBA guys are making 1, 2, 100 million, 80 million, 90 million. That's more than what some of their assistants are making, and it's gotten to, in some instances, it gets to a point that the first to go is the coaches, and so it becomes tough, and it becomes more of managing the egos, which I was very impressed back in the day, but it's significantly changed of what Jim O'Brien did and the way that he handled that, helped that Boston Celtics team that I was on to become what it was, because it wouldn't have been that had he not had the internal conversations that he had with Paul Pierce and Antoine Walker at that time, to help them to understand that they are the leaders, but they're going to have to take some responsibility. And so they're just establishing that type of relationship so you can have rapport. And that's what makes like a guy like Tyronn Lue pretty good. I mean, you're able to have rapport with guys, and it takes that to be able to get their ear. And if guys just feel like whatever, I could blow you off. That's why I think early on, you have to try to limit the scope on what those numbers are. Get them in, let them perform, and then at that point, you've established rapport, you've established respect. You're able to speak to your player, and that doesn't change with the money because there's still that respect level, right? So I think there's a way to do that, but it definitely, somebody comes in and they're giving $3-4 million off top, and what are you going to tell him as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, and you have some probably going to have some egomaniacs in the locker room after that. I do think that it should be noted that that's not the majority, right? That's like most of the athletes that are making NIL money. It's really not that much. And there's if you have the clout of a CJ Stroud or a Bryce Young or what we're seeing with Jordan Addison, then you're talking about millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars at least. But I don't want to like vilify or deify NIL as a whole, because it's helping a lot of people just pay the bills, and be able to use their name, get gift cards here and there, go online and say happy birthday to you. You can pay athletes $30 for that. So most of these athletes aren't cashing in lots of money, but it does make the roster dynamics interesting when 1 or 2 or 3 of those guys, especially kind of this off year, this first year of the portal, have cashed in and do have a lot to work with there. But I just don't want like the Bijan Robinson got the Lambeau deal. Bijan Robinson has been like an All-American type running back for 2 years at Texas. So that's why he's got that deal. And certainly that's going to change that locker room dynamic a little bit, but it's not everybody's driving Lambos around basically.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. And unfortunately, we got to take a break right now here on the block, and we'll come back and talk a little bit of NBA action that I think has been fantastic. And we'll get into a little bit of Luka Magic and what they're going to do coming up, as well as the Miami Heat and Boston Celtics series that's now approaching. We'll have a little bit of that discussion when we come back here on the block right after this on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. On the block. Right back.
Shopping for insurance can be a tedious and frustrating task, but the agents at Brokers Insurance Agency will do the work for you. They have partnered with over 20 of the best insurance carriers in the nation, which allows them to do the shopping all for you. Whether you're looking for business insurance or employee benefits for your company, or you're looking to save money on your home and auto insurance, Brokers Insurance Agency has the agents and solutions to help meet your goals. Call 402-420-5353 or email staff@brokersinsurancenE.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning. Now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Naloxone is a drug used to safely reverse an opioid overdose and is now more readily available in Nebraska. I'm Dr. Rob Rhodes, a Nebraska family practice physician. I encourage you to learn how to respond to an opioid overdose and administer naloxone to potentially save a life by getting the free Opie Rescue app for your phone. Be Opie ready. Download Opie Rescue.
Paid for by the CDC. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
These days, there are more reasons than ever to treat yourself to a great haircut at Great Clips with the online check-in app. So tell us, why do you check in?
I check in because I'm tired of hat hair.
I check in because we all need a cut.
I check in so I can feel like me.
And I check in so I look good for you.
No matter why you check in, you'll check out with a great haircut and save time with our online check-in app. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
Your first alert weather forecast tonight. Showers and thunderstorms likely. A few storms could be severe. Overnight lows right around 60 with light winds. Cloudy in the morning Wednesday. Sunny and warm in the afternoon. Highs around 83. I'm MTV Chief Forecaster Kent Fountain for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too, and that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more. When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it. We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors. Whether they are in the mountains of New Mexico, the plains of Nebraska and Kansas, the ranches of Oklahoma and Texas, the farmlands of Missouri and Arkansas, or the bayous of Louisiana, we are here for our hometowns. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard. Aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
Hey, it's Nelson. We all know life gets a little hectic. You're just looking for that right amount of balance for stress relief with your busy lifestyle while trying to not break the bank. That's why you got to stop by the newest Caterpillar Vapes location right here in Lincoln, 2601 North 11th Street. The Caterpillar team is made up of people just like you, wanting the best product at the best price. They can walk you through the largest selection in town, answer any questions, and find you that perfect balance. First-time customers get 50% off their entire purchase. Stop in and see for yourself. For more, find them on Facebook or online at CaterpillarVapes.com.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop.
but you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back on the block. Once again, we're here at Hitting the Hardwood segment. Yesterday, we had a wonderful guest. My friend, my buddy, my pal, Seth Sabalas came on, had a wonderful, wonderful talk. I meant to tweet it out, but I don't know what happened. It didn't even go out, man. We were digging in. We dug into some great conversation and some depth on Hitting the Hardwood yesterday, but we're going to dig in again today because we have some, obviously, the games that had transpired weren't expected. No one and their mom expected. No one expected the Suns to fall apart the way they did at home, and no one expected the Bucks and Giannis to not perform up to level. Thought it would probably have been a little bit closer, but kudos to the Celtics and kudos to the Mavericks for doing what they're supposed to. But we have a guest, Zach, on the Honda Lincoln Hotline, wants to tap in and have a little discussion. Talk to me, Zach. What's happening?
Hey, guys. I heard you talk about NIL, and I got a lot of different thoughts. Some of them are probably a little crazy and whatnot. But I guess with the court ruling of the NIL deal, I'm not a legal expert by any means, but it doesn't really sound to me like there's a way to limit what a player can earn, because you can't really tell a player or a sponsor, whatever you want to call the NIL, what you can and can't pay a player, because that's something outside of the university. So my question then becomes, I guess, with college football, we all look at it as a very large, it's big time business. I mean, it's probably as big as any other sports league in the world. So do we cater to the, 15, 20% of kids that play college football that are going to get drafted? Because, there's a lot of kids that play. Not very many of them get a chance at the NFL. So do we cater to that group? And then do you narrow it down to just the Power 64? And then my next question, which is far-fetched and I know probably would never, ever happen, but if we want to do money to the players, I think everyone's in favor of that in some way, shape, or form. Shouldn't college football be privatized and be ran like the business that it is? Like, there is no feeder league for the NFL, really. I mean, USFL, XFL are still pretty new, but it would make sense from a logistics standpoint that the college football and the NFL get married together in some way, and that the NFL almost oversees it from a business standpoint. Now, granted, there's a lot of things that happen at the universities and it'll never happen. But my point is that in order to help kind of control the chaos, you almost need a salary cap or something for these teams to adhere by, so it's an even playing field to a certain extent. Now, certain schools can't, small market teams don't usually pay as much as big market teams, and cap things like that. But you got to find a way to make it be more cohesive, if that makes sense. I just wanted to hear your guys' thoughts.
Well, great input. But I will say first that you can't limit the players. You allow the players to go out and negotiate, make their deals, handle their business the way that they handle their business, negotiate their deals the way any other student there can negotiate. They're working at Starbucks or at Sears or at whatever place that they're working, right? Whatever that salary is, whatever it is, they can take it. They can decide if they want it or not, right? I don't think you limit that. I think what you can put a limit on is what these offerings are in the outset. I think you can't say what it's going to be or is not going to be, but you can put restrictions on those, the way you can do that is by saying, if you don't perform, it's a performance based, so negotiate these type of things if you're going to offer. Okay, the offer on the table is up to $200,000, but you've got to stay at the university for 2 years. You've got to put up these type of numbers. And if you fall short of that, then you get 50 or you get 75. You know what I'm saying? Why not negotiate that? That's what I'm saying. I think just throwing it out there and saying, yeah, 200,000. And then you're like Spencer Rattler and you have, a Ford, a big body Ford and, a Charger or something. And then you've got these big NIL and you don't even see the field, right? So I think there should be some ways that you can add those types of things and barriers in the negotiations. That's just my thought.
Well, and it's interesting too, as it kind of brings up the feeder league, and again, that's something that I do think could happen at some point. I mean, you could see, and there's an idea of the college football getting big enough that it's kind of a semi-pro league. Have the Big Ten, the SEC, the Pac-12, the ACC, the Power Five basically break away, create their own league, and have different rules to it that don't adhere or tie into the volleyball team, in the baseball team, and the softball team, and the track and field team, and all that stuff. Should that really be, equal scholarships and all that stuff that we're talking about? The business is almost too big for that. So I could see a breakaway from the NCAA at some point and kind of creating a semi-pro league. And then at that point, maybe you could do a salary cap or something like that. If the goal is for parity and to have everybody have an equal chance. But to be honest, that's never been the case. You've kind of have those restrictions of 85 scholarships and stuff like that. But, I guess if the fear is Alabama and Ohio State and Oklahoma and Texas are going to take over the sport and get all the recruits, they already do that without NIL. And then the other thing is, if you restrict... Before NIL, there was a lot of money changing hands. It was under the table, but it was still happening. If you restrict NIL or try to put a cap on it, I think you just kind of go back to that scenario where, maybe you do have that base number that's in public, and then you have the $100 handshakes coming back and all that. So that's kind of interesting. Let's, you want to take another call from Sean here?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, let's go to Sean here on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Sean, how's it going?
Hey, fellas, going well. Real quickly on the NIL, I just think it's funny. For the longest time, money was going in the wrong pockets. Now it's going in the players' pockets, and everybody wants to complain. Hey, good for them. Businessmen who make these deals with these players will figure out a way to write a contract out, to perform. So what I thought Strick said was spot on. But more importantly than that, Strick, I'm going to pick your brain. Boston Celtics, Miami Heat. I want to hear from you what your pick is. You might have already said it. And I'm so proud of these two organizations because both of these are well-run organizations that Boston made a change with Brad Stevens and brought in this new coach. And I think it's made all the difference in the world. And Miami Heat, I don't think Eric Spoelstra gets enough recognition. I think he's the best coach in the NBA. So I'm looking forward to this. So just want to hang up and listen to what you got to say, Strick. Thanks.
Great stuff. So, obviously game one's going to be starting tonight at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN. We have Boston Celtics and Miami Heat in Miami. Gosh darn it. I wish I could have drove down there and made a presence there, but I've got too much stuff going on. But at the end of the day, I think there's some key things to look at in these series that I definitely want to touch upon, right? Obviously there's an issue right now, with Robert Williams. They don't know the fullness. I think he is a key component. Bam Adebayo, that's a great matchup for them. But I think they're so good defensively that they can throw so many different guys at them and at different players on their team that there are some things that you got to watch for. I'm really excited to see what Grant Williams is going to do continuously in his role. He's very, to me, what PJ Tucker was to the Bucks last year for this Boston Celtics team. And just his abilities to not only defend and be scrappy and to be physical. And, there's really not many that match up in that aspect with them other than the depth of Miami. So that's why I find this to be an intriguing matchup. But ultimately, I feel that with Williams and Horford and their front court abilities, I think they have a little bit more because they can attack the basket with Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I mean, they've had guys stepping up like crazy on their team. Now, so here's another dynamic that you have in this series is the Heat is the NBA's best three-point shooting. Watch out for this now. They're the NBA's best three-point shooting team during the regular season at 37.9%. But conversely, the Celtics own the best NBA three-point defense, holding their opponents to 33-7. So wherever this lines, I think that's going to be a differentiator as to who gets it done with consistency in this series. That's the way I view it.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams are very deep, and so that's kind of the exciting part about it is there's really no breaks here when they're.
We also got to watch about Kyle Lowry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's what's going to
helpful.
happen with that, because he is a tremendous floor leader for them for a 7-game series against a team like Boston. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so I absolutely agree with that. But it is fascinating. We mentioned defense earlier. That the final 4 teams are the best 4 defensive teams in the regular season. That's the first time that the final 4 teams have been that since 1966, when I believe there were 9 or 10 teams in the league. So if you say the NBA doesn't have any defense, well, check out these conference finals because these teams fly around and just have some of the best defense in the league and in the world. Obviously, playing at this level, I think that this is going to be an incredible series. To me, it's the Boston Celtics comeback to our revenge tour. The last 3 years, they were eliminated by the Nets, the Bucks, and the Heat, and they've already taken care of the Nets and the Bucks. I think that they will have a chance to, and I think they'll be able to get it done against the Heat as well. I just think that they have more consistent. I love Jimmy Butler when he gets going, right? Like he's really fun, but he's not consistently hot, right? Jason Tatum, I think, just has a higher ceiling or more likelihood to kind of lead, and Jaylen Brown, throwing him in there as well to consistently be able to get the points needed there, especially in the crunch time to get these wins down the stretch. But I wouldn't be surprised either way. I think that the best thing Sean said is these are 2 really well run organizations. Spoelstra should get a lot of credit for what he's able to do, not just in the bubble, but now having this number 1 seed in the finals here with the roster minus a superstar. They got stars, but I don't think they have a superstar there.
Mm-hmm.
And then more credit to Pat Riley. I mean, he's just been so darn good. You kind of forget that he's behind the scenes there too. And then the Celtics.
I agree.
The Celtics had one bad year. Jaylen Brown got hurt last year. Then there's this whole, we just kind of painted, at least certain people did, was like, okay, the Danny Ainge era didn't work, and the Brad Stevens era was a miss. The Celtics have been going to the playoffs outside of 1 year since 2008 every year. And usually have a shot. They've now been to half of the Eastern Conference Finals. Of course, a lot of that goes back to Bill Russell and Larry Bird, but even still, as of late, they've been able to get it done. In all these players, besides Al Horford, I believe, and Derek White, who was part of the Ime Udoka thing over from San Antonio Spurs, have been drafted by Danny Ainge. So it's kind of fun to see a young team that's organically built for the most part. The Celtics kind of rise, and I think their prime's ahead of them. They could win the championship this year, and their prime's ahead of them with Tatum and Brown there.
Agreed. And unfortunately, we can't dig too much into that because on Wednesday, May 18th at 9 Eastern, we're going to take a break, but we're going to dig into this part. The Mavericks and Golden State are going to face off on tomorrow, but we've got something. We're going to come back and we'll finish off the segment because Luka Magic, he has outperformed something that I don't want nobody to miss. He has outperformed the Suns' top players in skill at what they do the best. And we'll come back and kind of touch on that before we close out the segment here on The Block, finishing up Hitting the Hardware with Strick. We'll be right back after this on 93.7 The Ticket FM.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive Certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too, and that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more. When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it. We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors. Whether they are in the mountains of New Mexico, the plains of Nebraska and Kansas, the ranches of Oklahoma and Texas, the farmlands of Missouri and Arkansas, or the bayous of Louisiana, we are here for our hometowns. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard. Aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
Another packed summer sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. Stop by for great deals on May's Beer of the Month for Boulevard Brewing, Tallgrass Brewing, and Glacial Till Ciders. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank, a relationship you can count on.
Your first alert weather forecast tonight: showers and thunderstorms likely. A few storms could be severe. Overnight lows right around 60 with light winds. Cloudy in the morning Wednesday, sunny and warm in the afternoon, highs around 83. I'm MTV Chief Forecaster Kent Fountain for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hello, I'm Charlie Stone, back with the latest news from Honda of Lincoln. Joining me now is the general manager, Andy Goodyear. Hey, Andy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Charlie.
Hey, Andy, with spring right around the corner, how is your supply of new Hondas and pre-owned vehicles?
Really good, Charlie. As I've said before, when you drive by our lot, you don't see what you're looking for, just remember we have hundreds of new Hondas arriving soon, with Honda continuing to offer 0.9% APR financing to qualified buyers. Plus, we have over 125 pre-owned vehicles in stock and ready for immediate delivery.
That's great, Andy. Any more great news?
There is, Charlie. Honda just announced financing from 0.99% APR on certified pre-owned Hondas for qualified buyers.
So come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
These days, there are more reasons than ever to treat yourself to a great haircut at Great Clips with the online check-in app. So tell us, why do you check in?
I check in because I'm tired of hat hair.
I check in because we all need a cut.
I check in so I can feel like me.
And I check in so I look good for you.
No matter why you check in, you'll check out with a great haircut and save time with our online check-in app. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit OStreetCarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Work, laundry, dishes. I was exhausted. I needed a vacation, but finding a way to pay for it, not so easy. Then I found it, a research study at Solarion. I searched the studies and found a perfect match for me. It was so easy. I earned cash for the study and booked that vacation. Plus, I made an impact on medical research. Find a study and sign up today at healthresearch.com.
You should consider the risks of the research before you agree to participate.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Finishing up on the block, I teased a little bit about what we saw in Luka Magic, and that he did something that just blew the minds of basketball watchers, those who have been in the game, understand the game, talk about the game. Luka Doncic blew my mind when I read this. He beat the Suns all by himself, as Booker is their best scorer, Paul is their best player, Aiden is their best rebounder, Bridges is their best defender. And in all those traits, he literally outperformed each of them individually in their best skill. So, Bach, I'm going to let you touch on that real quick, and I'll give you the numbers if you don't want to after that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's crazy how much you would say dominated that series, despite the fact that he, went to 7 games. But you remember the first two games, he was going off. He just didn't have any help, and that's why a lot of us kind of suspected, the series isn't going to make it very far, because Doncic is doing all that he can. He's just not getting a whole lot of help. They returned back to Dallas, and he started to get the role players into it. But yeah, I mean, he's got to be considered as one of the best players. I mean, let's talk about racing your profile. I know he's been close there, but we're all kind of like waiting for him to age and get a little better here. The time might be now for Luka to take that dive into best player on the planet if he's continues at this pace.
Without Porzingis, they got rid of Porzingis. I think was probably one of the best moves they made. Added Dinwiddie, and we'll probably touch on this tomorrow since they play tomorrow. But once you see their numbers in their ISO game and the numbers and the way that they've been successful against this Golden State team, we'll come back and touch on that tomorrow. So listen on the block tomorrow when we get into that. But what's mind-boggling is Doncic outscored the Suns' top scorer, Booker, 218 to 164. He had more assists than the Suns' top passer, Chris Paul, 49 to 40. He out-rebounded their starting center, DeAndre Ayton, 69 to 57, and had more steals than their best defender, Mikal Bridges, at 15 to 9. And people say Luka can't play no D. Fulio. But unfortunately, we can't talk more about it right here on the block. We'll get into a little bit more tomorrow when they play. Watch tonight. We'll see what happens with the Boston Celtics. Stricky's rooting for the Celtics. I'm rooting all the way for the Celtics. I'm believing they're going to take it to the house. But Miami, I'm here in Florida, but I wish I could have rolled down the street. I can't right now because I'm on the block. We'll see you on the block tomorrow, 4 to 6 Central Standard Time. We'll be right back here talking about the Mavs tomorrow. Thanks for joining us on the block. 93.7 The Ticket. I'm E. Strick. That's Jake Bakovin. We'll see y'all hopefully tomorrow. Peace. We out.